Good morning, gang. Good morning. Welcome to this week's altcoin update. First and foremost, remember, nothing discussed today is financial advice. This is just for educational purposes only, and it's my view of the markets. And now that's out of the way, let's jump into the chat, shall we? So we've had a couple of requests today. RNDR, which is obviously one that we covered the other week. ETH and ALGO. So we'll be looking at those throughout the stream, and then we'll also do a quick recap on the ones that we were looking at 2 weeks ago now, because I couldn't release a video last week. So let's start off with FTM. FTM, as we were talking. So this was what, 2 weeks ago now. So where are we? It'd be here. And what we were looking for was either one of two things: either a local change of structure to the upside, which would have brought us back up towards the EQ, or we roll over with fill out this thin move here that we were talking about. And again, you know, if you want to understand this a bit more, go watch the last altcoin video that we released from 2 weeks ago. Plow straight through this thin volume area, straight into the point of control. The point of control held up, and then we started to change a little bit of low structure. So if you caught that long on a lower time frame, well played. Now, we're still not out of the woods yet, because overall, higher time frame, we've not broken any clear structure. Okay? If we can maintain this, then we can get back up through this quite quickly, but again, back towards that EQ level. But as it stands, we are still aiming down. Okay? So if we do come down and have another stab, again, we can look to see if it makes a higher low back around the point of control once again. If not, then I'm going to be looking back down at that range low / value area low. It's as simple as that. Biggest resistance to the upside locally, biggest support to the downside. Okay, so it's really simple. Again, Phantom's been playing this range really well. It's been a great coin to trade. Obviously, if you're not a range trader and you're just wanting something to go north and vertical, then you're not in the right time for it. Okay, understand how to trade a range like this. It's been an absolute gold mine as this range. Okay, so that's a quick recap on FTM. The next one was LINA. Now, this is one that we were actually showing that we were trading. Obviously, we'll give you the reasons why we shorted up there and why we were looking for shorts up in this region. And when we were recording the last video, we'd have been around here, just coming into the golden pocket at the time, the overall golden pocket from the lows to the highs. And then what I was saying is, if we don't show any sign of strength here, then I'll be looking back down towards, oops, went back too fast, the point of control now. In the end, we actually front run it, but the actual point of control across exchanges, because it's such an illiquid altcoin, it varied quite big. So in the end, we came down, we came into this daily region here, had a nice bounce. Okay, so that for me, closed out of short, happy days, good profits to be taken. Now we see what's going on. Now, as we can see here, oops, again, I've gone back too far, want to get rid of this squiggle. We've had a decent bounce from the point of control area, created another lower high, and now we're starting to see what's going on here. If this region holds, then we can be potentially looking for a higher low, and then in that case, then we're going to be looking for a higher high. Okay? Now, be cautious once it takes out this level that you don't get a pullback, because chances are you are going to get a pullback, at least on a lower time frame. You will get some sort of pullback once it grabs that liquidity from that pivot there. But if it can continue with the uptrend, then we can start to see coming back up into this region here, which will be the next sticky region. Okay, we can see that on the volume profile. Okay, you don't necessarily need a volume profile to see that, because you can just see that we've had a consolidation around this zone here. Okay, well, what if it drops down lower? Well, if it drops down lower and continues to take out this low, then ultimately we can be looking for that point of control down here. If that fails to hold, then I'll be looking back down at the value area low. Okay, quite simple. Now, this one is quite an illiquid altcoin, so you know it's not something I'm interested in trading on a lower time frame for scalping, but for higher time frame plays, it's been great. It respects TA beautifully. Next, RNDR. So this is one that we were looking at again. We were looking at this a couple of weeks ago, but this is one that's been requested for this week. So we had two reasons, two options effectively here. What we're looking for is, when we did the video, we'd come back down and we'd retested this range high. Okay, so I was saying at the time, if we start to see bullish market structure bouncing off this range high, then we can look for longs and trade it back up, first and foremost, into this sticky zone here. If it gets through that sticky zone, then we can be looking up into this red box up here. Okay, in the end, what happened? Well, we got back into the old range. Okay, so now we're back into this old macro range. Now it's quite a large range. Said it at the time. You know, this is a 400% range. It's a big range to trade. We're talking a swing trade region. So if this holds as resistance, then ultimately I'll be looking for this to roll over. And if it's going to roll over, then chances are we're going to be grabbing this liquidity here. So this is a bit of a zone here. Okay, and just effectively equal lows. We know full well that there's going to be stop losses beneath these lows for people that have been longing up here. So if we do come back down here, if we get into this region, start to form a range, and then break structure to the upside, then you've got a long trigger, okay? And then again, you're just going to be targeting back into the range highs, okay? If it continues to roll over, and this doesn't cause a reaction, then I'm going to be looking back down towards that EQ first. Now this is a bit of a zone between the EQ and the value area high. Now, if we do get lower than that, then ultimately we're going to be taking out these lows and likely coming back down into this region here around the point of control. Okay, so that could be a substantial drop if it happens. And again, it's just trading the range. Okay, if this does happen and it does come down to this level, then people are going to get super bearish. You know, it's over, that's it, it's a dead coin. But, you know, you zoom out, it's just a range. It's a range. You know, you could, depending on the state of the market right now, you could say that this is potentially an accumulation range. And all it could do is come back down, continue this range, and it's just one big accumulation range. Okay, shaking people out left, right, and centre because people don't understand how to trade a range, and what they're wanting to do is they just want to catch something up here and hope for new all-time highs because there's some narrative behind it. I have no idea what the narrative for RNDR is because I don't really care. But as an asset, it's trading well. Okay, so that's it. So you got, if resistance holds, then I'll be looking for further down. First and foremost, grabbing these lows here. If that causes no reaction, EQ / value area high. And ultimately, if it does continue to roll over, back at point of control. If it does break out of this, gets back out of this range to the upside, let's just clear some of this up. So if we do get back out of this, flip this, start coming up, then we're back into this sticky zone first and foremost. Okay, if you can get through that, then we're looking up towards that red box, which will be around 350-ish. Okay, so that's that. ETH is next on the list. Now, ETH, if you follow us on Twitter, then you'll have caught a nice trade off ETH. Because we were posting on Twitter quite a while back. And again, if you don't follow us on Twitter, then head down into the comments below, into the description, sorry, and you will see a link to our Twitter. Now, this was posted on the 5th of June, and we were saying right here where we're up against the value area high, the overall range highs, and then we had the point of control below us. And I was posting on Twitter saying, remain below value area high, and I'd be interested in a liquidity grab in the green box for new longs, meaning here. To add back into shorts, I'd want to see range highs taken around 2020, which would be here, which would effectively be taking these highs here into the range highs. Okay, outside of these zones, I've got no interest. So I had no interest in trading the lower time frame because I prefer to trade Bitcoin on the lower time frame. Okay, in the end, what happened? Well, we can see here. Let's just get rid of some of this. I'll hide this for now. You can see here. So we had the old range highs, which was this range that we were watching. There we go. So the options were either come up here, take the highs, and you had a short, or the other option, as you saw in that, is grab the liquidity from down here, come down here, change structure, and then you had a long. And if you caught that long, following from our tweet, then happy days. Had yourself a nice play, you know, decent 7 or 8% bounce in the end. I did post it again, saying make sure you take some profits, because again, we're still not out of the woods here, and this is something you got to pay attention to. We're not out of the woods. We're still creating lower highs. Okay? And until that changes, we're still in a downtrend. You know, regardless what crazy patterns and what crazy shapes your favorite influencers are posting, we're still in a downtrend. You just have to look at market structure. Okay? Higher time frame, we are still up. Okay? If we start getting acceptance here, back down below here, back into value, then we can start looking down at this EQ. But if we do start to come lower and start breaking this structure, then that's potentially going to look quite bearish on the short term. Again, I'm not saying that that's going to lead to brand new lows overall, taking out the ultimate low. It could do. but effectively you're just trading one big range. Okay? If this holds and we continue this uptrend, then my next point of call will be coming into this sticky zone here. Okay? So that'll be my next area of interest. If it does come up here, change market structure, then you got a short trigger. Okay? And within this, to find your entry, then you need to be zooming down onto your lower time frames. Okay, so obviously right now I'm looking on the daily. So I'm looking on the daily and I can see that this is a sticky zone here because we've got a range. We've got a clear range that's formed here, which is effectively from these old range highs up to here. So you've got a range there. So if it does get up into this zone, look for a lower term time frame entry if it presents itself. If it doesn't, no problem. Just let it carry on riding up. If it does carry on riding up, then the same rules apply because I still would be interested in the outer extremities of the range. Because from a high time frame swing perspective, I can't speak, then you want to be trading from these outer zones. Okay? Anything in between is a lower time frame play. Okay? So that's ETH. Finally, ALGO. ALGO. I've not looked at this one in a long time. Right, okay. So first and foremost, what I'm going to do is I'm going to stick a line on that because that was the overall low, which was back in the March 2020 lows. And let's zoom into the daily. And we can see here we've actually taken that out. A little bit of a deviation, a little bit of swing failure pattern of that overall low. Okay. I'm not sure if this is like the same on all exchanges, but it's something to pay attention to. So, from here, what happens next? Well, first and foremost, it's pretty obvious. It's still in a downtrend. Okay? It's just slowly being bleeding out. Okay? So does this mean that this low has to be the bottom? No, it doesn't. It can go lower. It can go to zero. It's absolutely fine. You know, any asset can do anything. But we've got to play the probabilities. So a lower time frame play here, if I was looking at this, I'm going to assume that that's on the golden pocket. Yep, roughly. If this rolls over and comes back down to test this line once again, if this then holds and gives you a lower time frame change of structure, then you've potentially got long triggers there. Okay? Then what you're going to be looking for is this the first high? Is this going to be the first higher low? And then we're going to be looking for a higher high. Now, it's very early. Very early. Too early to tell on this. Okay? What you want to see on an asset like this, and this is something that I teach, is you want to see an accumulation range form. Okay? Similar to how this accumulation range formed. So you want to see a long drawn out sideways accumulation here. Okay? So if this is to be the low, bear in mind we've had this downtrend, what you want to see is you want to see a range in behavior. Okay? If you start to see a range in behavior, then you've got a perfect opportunity to trade a range. Okay? Which can give you some really good plays in the end. Depending on where the higher the range is, obviously right now we don't know where it's going to be. But if you start to see a range here, then you start to see signs of accumulation. Okay? Which could be a bullish sign. Okay? Now, I'm not saying that's what it is, but it's what I'd be looking for if I was playing this. Okay? But from a lower time frame perspective, I'd be interested in a retest of that. And if it does give a retest of that on a lower time frame and gives you that market structure change to the upside, I'd be interested in treating that as a play by itself. And then if it can get back above this high, then all this slow bleed sideways could get filled in. Okay? It is a sticky zone, but you've got stops above each one of these highs that you can run quite easily. So if it starts pushing up, we can cascade through these quite quickly. Then you'll be looking to come up into, effectively, this zone here. This range here. Okay? So you do have the potential. It's, you know, it's a decent zone, is this? That's got potential. It's an 80% zone. Okay? But you have got a lot of resistance above you, and that's something that you need to take into account. Okay? But if you do start to form this range, then great. Trade it. Okay? But I wouldn't be rushing into a position. I wouldn't be chasing a position around here. I'd want to see it come back, and I'd want to see it hold. Because realistically, what it could do is just continue rolling over and just continue with this downtrend. And until you start to see it bottom out and then start going sideways, that's when you want to get interested. Okay? So you don't need to catch an absolute perfect bottom. And I think this is something that a lot of people struggle with when it comes to accumulation and bull markets and bear markets and things like that, is that they want to nail the absolute bottom. You know, everyone wants to nail the absolute bottom. Okay? but it's few and far between if it's going to happen at all. Okay, there's no point. Just wait for that accumulation range. Okay. And one other thing that we could do with this is, let's just throw this on from the absolute highs to the lows. Yeah, we can see here big resistance here above around 30 to 31 cents. Okay, which then ultimately would take out these highs. So yeah, you've got a decent range there to play. We do have a high volume node here, just coming in around, what's that, 21 cents. So it's something to be aware of. Yeah, but if you start getting back into value, that value there, then as I said, this is the stops that could easily be run, which could cause the cascade effect. Okay, and then you're coming back up into this cluster. Okay, something to be aware of, but it's got potential as algo. Now again, not financial advice, I'm not telling you to take a long or take a short, but yeah, it's got interest. But only if it holds and it gives you your entry criteria. Right, that'll do. Before we go, big shout out to BingX for sponsoring today's video. If you do want a no KYC exchange to trade on, then BingX are one of our partners and they do no KYC if you don't want to. There's plenty of offers. If you just click the links below, you will see them and competitions that are running. And the good thing about these guys is you can not only trade crypto, but you can also trade FX, commodities, indices, and using crypto as collateral. So it's the platform that I use for when I'm trading FX and anything outside of crypto effectively. Okay, and obviously if you guys want to learn along, then head down into the description below and click on our website, spitfiretraders.com. And within our educational library, you will find access to altcoin trading strategies, which also runs through accumulation and distribution. So you can start to see the patterns that I'm looking for when it comes to stocking up on altcoins, because I do believe there's a lot of altcoins in an accumulation range now, or starting to form an accumulation range. So it's the time where things could start getting interesting. Okay, not all altcoins, but some altcoins. All right, so obviously if you do want to learn along with us and join our private Discord, then it'll cost you the grand old price of $59.95 Great British Pounds, or in dollar value, that's $75. And then you get access to over 100 hours of education, plus my trading plans every single day of the week. Okay, so hopefully you've learned something. If you have, smash that like button. If you're not subscribed, consider subscribing. And if you want an altcoin covering next time, then let us know down in the comments. All right, gang, until next time, bye-bye.